One of you sent me a dilemma that I think every leader must face at least once. I know I have. Somebody wrote as a comment to one of my videos, "I've just been promoted to manage the people that I used to be peers with. We used to vent together about our boss, and now I am the boss. Where do I draw the line? If I stop the gossip, am I being fake?" This friend to boss transition can be the hardest shift that you ever have to make. You have two identities and they're almost in opposition to each other. There's the supportive friend and then there's the responsible leader. In my last video, we talked about recovering from toxic bosses. In today's, we're going to talk about how to make sure that you don't become one. I'm going to show you the 3 specific boundaries that you need to set immediately to keep your friendships intact, to stop the gossip and lead your team without becoming the villain. By the way, if you're new here, hello and welcome. My name's Lucy. I'm so glad you're here. So let's crack on. Feeling awkward in this situation is not a sign that you're doing it wrong. It's a sign that you're paying attention. These things are difficult. So let's look at the 3 boundaries it's important to share now that you're in your new role. The first boundary is around that gossip and venting. Taking part in gossip and venting carries a much higher level of risk now that you're the boss. You understand that team members need to let off steam with each other, but if they do it in front of you, it could put you in an awkward position. You're also giving a signal that this behaviour is permitted, that it's even encouraged. Would they want what they say repeated elsewhere in management? They've got to understand that now you are management. The practical way to deal with this is to talk to them about it openly. Explain to them that you're happy to talk to them as a group about workplace issues. In fact, you encourage them to talk as a group with you about workplace issues because then you can do something about it now you're in your new role. Maybe you say something like, "I know we used to vent together about these sorts of things. In this role, I need to handle it differently. I still want you to talk to me about what's hard, about issues, because then now I'm in my new role, I can handle it differently. Maybe I can solve these blockers." Invite them to share issues either in one-to-one meetings with you or in structured team discussions. Maybe offer a simple rule of thumb. If what we're talking about is something that we're willing to work on together to solve, then let's talk about it. But if we're not willing to do anything about it, it's not a conversation I can stay in anymore. The second boundary is around favoritism and information. Problems that often creep in when a former friend is promoted is that their former peers or their friends might expect special treatment or favoritism. Or now you're in your new role where you might have access to new and different information, you overshare insider information in order to stay liked. It's super important to remember that being fair to every member of your team is more important than being liked. You can be transparent about how you share information, even if you can't tell them everything. A way of tackling this topic would be to talk about it openly in a team meeting together. You could say something like, "Because we've worked together for a long time, I want to be extra clear about how I'm going to operate from now on. Now I'm in this new role. I want to be clear about how I'm going to make decisions. It's going to be based on what's fair, not on who I'm closest to." To test yourself, ask yourself, if I had to explain this decision to the whole team, would it still feel fair? Would I make this same decision if it was about somebody that I'm less close to? A third boundary is about feedback to former peers now that you're managing them. You might feel nervous about giving feedback to people who used to be on the same level as you. You might think, well, who am I to give them feedback? You might be afraid that they think you've changed. But another really important way of looking at this is that one of the ways that teams become toxic is because nobody is prepared to give honest and open and clear feedback, especially to strong personalities in the team. Here's a way of framing a feedback conversation. You can name the issue that you're feeling upfront by saying something like, "This might feel a bit awkward because up until recently we were all on the same level, but part of my job now is being honest about something when it's getting in the way of the team. I'm sharing this feedback because I want you and us as a team to succeed. And a simple way to structure that feedback that you can use is to talk about what happened, what the impact of what happened was, and what you'd like instead. If part of the reason that you're nervous about giving feedback is that the team hasn't been used to having this level of feedback before, you may find that team members respond really well to having this level of honesty and clarity. If you've had a toxic boss, you might overcorrect, either by trying to be everybody's best friend or by being so scared of conflict that you avoid leading at all. Neither helps, and the fact that you're even worrying about becoming toxic is actually a really good sign. It's a really good sign that you're self-aware. When you're making decisions, have a checklist in your mind. Is this decision clear? Is it fair? Is it consistent? And is it respectful? If you've been promoted over peers, what's been the hardest moment so far? One awkward conversation, a boundary that you're scared to reset? Tell me below. I'd love to do a follow-up answering your specific questions. Of course, it will feel awkward to change your dynamic with your friends. That's completely normal. But remember, your team does not need another drinking buddy right now. They need a leader who is fair and clear and brave enough to create an open and honest workplace culture. If you are finding this transition hard because you are still carrying wounds from your own toxic past managers, maybe you're second guessing every decision because you're scared of being seen as mean. It might be that you're still dealing with that toxic hangover we've talked about. If you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend watching my video on recovering from workplace toxicity next. It will help you understand what you and your team might be carrying so you can lead from a much healthier place. I'll see you over there. And if you're watching this from inside a toxic workplace and you're wondering how to either escape or how to recover, then watch my mini-series on toxic workplace survival. You'll find more videos from this mini-series linked in the description below. Thank you so much for watching.